Hi, Andrea. So this is when you are just lunging her. Now, she looks pretty good, but you just got to be careful, especially with the foxtrotters and the Rockies, because they can get insulin resistance. So you want to make sure you can at least feel their ribs. You don't need to see them, but you shouldn't feel a lot of soft tissue over the ribs. So she's starting to look a little bit heavy, but I think if you give her more work and cut back her feed, and you can always check with the vet, and the vet can assess, what kind of shape she's in. But you do want to definitely be careful with her weight and not let her get any heavier than this. And Loose, she has a nice walk. Her legs are nice and separated. She looks very relaxed. So there she just went right into the pace. The hard part is she can pace with her head down, and most horses pace with their head up. So that makes a little bit of a challenge, which we'll talk about more when I get to the with you riding her some. So when you're lunging her, it would be best to lunge her over some poles, and I'll send you a video like how to set it up, but I would put the poles in a circle, lunge her over the poles, and start to get her trotting over the poles, or at least gaiting over the poles. It will help her exercise-wise. It'll get her more fit. It'll probably help her lose weight, and it will help her gait, because all I saw her do was pace on the lunge line, and I know it's difficult to get her going, so she might be bored as well. So the poles will add more of a challenge, but it helps to strengthen their stifles, their top line, and it should make a big difference for her in helping her with her gait. But again, she definitely just paces here with her head down. Okay, so now I'm going to start with your video. So here, this is her flat walk, and it's a nice... And it's a nice flat walk. She's got a nice head shake going on. She just tends to carry her head a little bit low. And so there is too low, and then she's starting to pace, but she's getting very heavy on her front end. Now, if you're going downhill, I'm going to stop this for a second. Downhill makes the horses pacier. So if they're pacey and then you go downhill with some speed, you'll usually just push them into a pace. So anywhere there's a downward slant, I would put some poles there for her to go over to help keep her out of the pace. And I would also slow her down. The poles will help a fair amount, and you can also do leg yielding and shoulder in. Those things will help to separate her legs. But otherwise, slow it down as you're going downhill, and we'll put some poles there. You can get them from Home Depot. The timbers usually work pretty well. But she's getting her head down. There, she's pretty good. This is the start of the same video. But as soon as you start speeding up, she starts getting her head down too low. So with her, since she's a little bit pacey, you don't want to sit back too far. The more you sit back, the more she might try to pace. So I would shorten up your reins a couple of inches, probably actually about 4 inches. Sorry, I was looking through the video. But I would like to see your hands up here where the breastplate is, so your hands are in front of the saddle. Stay up in the front of the saddle as much as you can, because the more you sit towards the back, the pacier you can make that horse. And you could have a little tilt in your pelvis forward, so think of being just a tiny bit more in your thigh, and that can help to get her out of the pace too. And then with her head, you see it's down below the saddle here, and she's pacing. So reins too long, her head's too low, and then she's just getting up on her front end. So let me scan it back. That's where I would like her head. So because as you get going, she gets lower and lower. So there it's pretty good, and then it starts getting lower, but she's one of the ones that can pace with her head down. So we want to bring her head up to be a more neutral frame, not so round because it's not helping her get out of the pace. So rein shorter, tilt a little forward, leg position looks good in this video, but I'll look at the other ones. And then raise that head up. So there it's below the saddle. There you can see the top of her head is above your saddle, or if you have a horn there, it might be level with it. So I would try to keep the top of her head either horn level, like belly button level here, or even a tiny bit higher, but I would not go low with her. Okay, so when you're flat walking, keep her head up. That was the correct speed for your flat walk. You just got to keep practicing that same speed and warm her up really good. About the pacey ones, the more you warm them up, the better they're going to gait. So I would lunge her first, even if she doesn't like to lunge. I would lunge her over poles to help her to separate her legs for about 5 to 10 minutes before you ride her. That'll give her a good warm up. And then when you go to ride her, do that flat walk for at least 10 minutes, because that will help her a lot. Practicing keeping her head up, practicing your body position, and keeping those reins shorter. Okay, in this next video, she has her head too low most of the time. Again, for quarter horses and other trotting horses, that would be okay. But with her, it's getting too low. If you saw right before this, she did get a little ear flopping there, and it was pretty good. And then she got her head too low, and then she lost that rhythm. So there she's getting behind the bit. So what you're going to have to do, I'll give you information on a different bit to try, but I would pop her head up. Take one rein kind of up towards the sky and pop it up a little bit every time she gets that top of her head lower than your belly button. And you're kind of sitting back in a chair seat there. So your weight's really back, kind of on the back of your seat pockets. Your legs starting to go a little forward. And again, that's going to make her pacier. So you want to tilt your pelvis slightly forward. I'll send you a video on that. And try to stay more up in the front of the saddle. The stirrups are a little long for you. I would go up at least a hole to 2 holes if you don't have bad knees or bad hips, and you can shorten them up a little bit. Because that way you'll be able to push on the stirrup a little bit as well to help with your body position. So here, that's a better head set for her. It's up higher. She's shaking her head. She's stepping up nicely. Her legs are all separated, so you can see it's a clear 4 beat. And then as you're getting faster, let's see what happens. But it looks like you go right past her gait. So not bad there. Your reins are shorter. Your leg position is better. Now she's starting to pace. But again, I think that's because you're going downhill. So you want to work that flat walk really well and keep the same speed. So if you were trying to keep that same speed flat walking, she did increase her speed going down that hill. So you're going to have to probably half halt every step as she goes down. I'm just jumping ahead. So you want to half halt, so squeeze and relax on the rein, like squeeze real tight, and then when she slows down, relax. Squeeze real tight, and then relax when she's trying to pick up that speed, like there. Squeeze, relax, do it much harder than you're doing, and pop her head up. You have to do what you have to for her to understand, and she thinks she can just kind of waddle down the hill with her head down. We want her to engage and drive off that back end, and she's not. She's just swinging those legs. But she's not far from a good gait, but it's mostly keeping her head up, half halting, staying a little bit more forward, and controlling that speed better. Now here, very similar. Her head is down too low again. Again, we want the top of her head right below your chest or the belly area. Reins much shorter. They were good in the other video, but in this one, they're too long, and she's getting her head way down, and you've gone back in that chair seat. So all those things are helping her to go into a pace. If you set up poles everywhere, it goes downhill and uphill, then you'll be able to go over the poles going downhill and you can avoid them going uphill. And then when you change the direction, because everything gets reversed, then your uphill will be your downhill. You'll already have poles set up over there. And I would set them up about 12 feet apart. If she's gaiting well, you can always go around them, but for a couple of weeks, I would go over those poles and work on getting her legs more separated. Okay, now this one was better. You were almost consistently at a flat walk, except when you started going downhill with her. So I'm gonna stop it. Again, I would recommend getting her head up a little higher. You can pop the rein up towards the sky to try to get it up and then release the pressure so she doesn't pull it back down. A lot of people do it a little bit wrong and they pop their hand up and then they hold with both hands up here. And then a horse that knows how to give to pressure then puts their head down further. So you want to pop it up, release, so the horse understands that the right thing. If you keep your head up, I'll stay out of your mouth. So the speed was good. The same thing with your body as before, but I would half halt there, pop the head up, half halt, pop the head up, slow it down more because you're going down towards the pace, pop that head back up. Again, you can put poles in that area. The hard part is you're getting further back. You want to stay either completely upright when you're going down the hill, but when you're flat or going up the hill, you can tilt a little bit forward. Have that rein much shorter so she can't get her head down, have her head carriage so it's up here. And you need to be a little bit tougher because she's not listening to your cues. It's like she goes, oh yeah, and then she just ignores it. So you're going to have to be a little bit firmer and more pressure in the beginning until she listens to you. And then you can go back to being very light with your hands. But see, she's just pulling you down the hill. The reins are getting longer. And then you were just getting more in a chair seat, which made that worse. So here you're flat walking. I don't know if this is a repeat of the videos, but you're too far back in the saddle, too much in that chair seat. Your eyes are good. Your arms are pretty good. Just the reins too long. And her head is way too low. So again, think of tilting your pelvis a little bit forward, bring your shoulder a little bit more forward, and it'll start making a much bigger difference. And then controlling her speed. So when you're riding, you're gonna wanna count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So she went past that speed as she went downhill. Right there, she's good. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll be able to correct her faster to regulate her speed with a much shorter rein with your hands up here by that martingale, so like 6 inches shorter. And the rest of it will come around. You're a good rider. She's a nice horse. So it's just making these corrections and then making sure you're doing them right and keeping the right speed. And it should be much, much better. So now if you're just walking, like trail walking, that is fine with your rein. She can stretch out. She can put her head down as long as you're not trying to do a flat walk or a saddle gait or a foxtrot. So a regular trail walk, as long as she's not a trippy horse, that is fine. But when you go to gait, shorten up, and then we want to change that body position as well. Okay, so this was your last video. So the good news is she does have a flat walk. This is not it. This is just her trail walk, but I'm going to stop it just so I can talk to you. So she does have a flat walk. You're just not consistently keeping her in it, and we're making her go more towards the pace. The only other thing I would check, because I can't do that through video, is your saddle looks like it's lined up well, but make sure you can fit your hand underneath here and it just feels snug. If you can't get your hand through here, it means it's digging into her shoulder. I can send you the saddle fit video. And a lot of times when a saddle is digging into a horse's wither and it's a gaited horse, it will make them pace. So since she keeps falling into the pace, you really want to make sure that's not sitting down on her wither at all and it's not pinching her shoulders, that she has enough motion to be able, or enough freedom for her shoulders to move them correctly. What you want to work on are the things I said, and I'll type some of it up as well, and get that flat walk consistent. We want to get that you can flat walk consistently for 5 minutes each direction before we try to go into the next speed. And if she doesn't trot at all when she's running loose, so if you get some video of her just running loose, because sometimes it's different versus the lunge line. But if she just paces and does that flat walk when she's loose and canters, then it's going to get easier to get her into a saddle gait versus a foxtrot, just because that's a more lateral gait, but we can go with whichever one you want. But we might have to convert her to a trot when she's loose or on the lunge line and get her trotting consistently when you're not riding her, then to be able to get a foxtrot under saddle. If we go for a saddle gait, we don't have to do that. We just have to teach her how to leg yield and do a shoulder in and use those poles and get her in the right body position, and we should be able to get a saddle gait out of her. All right. I hope that helps. I'll send everything off, and then you let me know if you have questions.